each one of us had totally different interpretations because we each came from our own, made connections with the work that we were doing.
Yes.
And it happens every day in the classroom.
Yes.
We know that. So, I forgot what I was saying. Coming back to that. So that image of the child and the 100 languages. Now we have an art educator who works amongst our children, always in small groups. It's never a whole class going to the art room. But it's different in the rest of the primary school. Okay, so I'm letting you know that it's different. In the Early Learning Centre, Helen works, she works with teachers, she works with parents, she works with children. And really very much always in that small group. And you'll be able to see because I'll take you to the studio. And it's not about teaching art. It's not about learning to draw. It's about drawing to learn. It's a different interpretation of it. And the studio is almost like a workshop or laboratory where children can test theories. Totally different. So within every classroom, we've got a mini studio where children are working at something that they're working on. But then, an investigation can start in the studio in the classroom and then move into Helen's studio. And this is where I could not see the PYP fitting with the radio because of the art educator, those languages. It's very good. Do you have an art educator?
Yes.
Do they work in small groups or is it a whole class going to the whole class? And that's what happens in the other part of the school. Now, in the other part of the school, they do have the art teacher attends the planning sessions of the teachers. Okay. So in the same way as we want our children to work in the collaborative groups, we have timetables for our teachers planning time together. So we have all the teachers of 3-year-old kinder meet together once a week. All the teachers of 4-year-old kinder meet together once a week. Same with prep, same with year 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. And at that meeting is the three teachers of that year level, plus primary school head. I don't go to the meetings there, but I'm at all the meetings here. Helen, our art educator, our head of gifted education, at those meetings, and anyone else that we want. And when teachers come to the meeting, they bring their documentation. And we use that documentation to move those teachers on. And it's about having multiple perspectives. So it's this idea that, and it's taken time over the years for teachers to really be able to trust each other. You see, you've got such a huge school. How do you build those relationships with so many teachers? Now, I saw a school just recently, Dandenong High School here in Melbourne, which is actually a very, very interesting school, because they've brought 3 high schools together, and the principal was told, now we're closing these 2, now we're having everybody in one, and it's about 2,100 children. And what they've done is they are creating hubs. So schools within schools. 300, no more than 300 students in one hub. Okay. And so what they're doing there is that they've got 1 year 6, 1 year 7, 1 year 8, no, 1 year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in one hub, together with a deputy head and an administration, someone for administration, and then the teachers of those students. Very interesting work, because they felt that building the relationships both with staff and children was just so important. And that is, I just want to stress that for us was the most important thing, because teachers really have to trust each other, to be able to let go, to be able to say, all right, you take my children now, because they're very possessive over their children, which is important too, that they should feel that they want the best for their children. But when they really start to trust the other teachers, that makes a huge difference. I always talk about the transparency in the environment is not just the transparent windows, but really the transparency of the work of the teachers, because everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And that idea of working together, we would have a teacher just, if she's got free time, going into another class to support the teacher. And nobody feels anxious about it because the relationships are so good in the school. And that is something that we built. That was one of the first things as a, as a head, trying to bring the ideas in, was to actually start with. We used to, the old school, not this building, was about 10 minutes down the street. We had classrooms just everywhere. I mean, it was just it was an old National Trust building, but just classrooms everywhere else. We never saw each other. Teachers would come in the morning, they would do their work, and then they'd go home in the afternoon. And sometimes for a week we never saw each other. And so what I did in the beginning was to start a morning meeting every morning. So every morning, we still do it now. Every morning we start school at 8:45. 8:30, everybody comes together in the staff room. We sing happy birthday. We heard today that one of the girls is becoming a grandmother. We just the little bits of news. I mentioned that I've got visitors today, and it's just basic things that are happening, but it's a time for us all to get together, to have a cup of tea together, a cup of coffee, and to greet each other. The same as you want children in the morning to get together as a group and have a morning meeting to say, look, here I am. It's important that we all can recognize who we are. But that morning meeting was very important to start establishing relationships. And the staff here are very close. Sometimes it works against me. Because if something happens with one teacher, then everybody's, coming to me. If it's this one's had a trouble, something with a parent, you better tell that parent, because they look after each other, because they just feel this way about each other, but it took time. So let me go back to what I was saying. We started off with the image of the child. Who wrote the last, before I started to... Yeah, that's Standalone High School. So that's because of the building the relationships is big, so interesting. A wonderful school. They've just actually won an award for the design of their school buildings as well as their the interiors. And we went there. These are schools of children, often very underprivileged, multicultural. I don't know how many different languages. Something like 64 different languages in this school, and yet every child was engaged in their learning. They had lessons of 70 minutes, 7-0. When we came, it was nearly the end of the lesson, and there was no child sitting and doing nothing. They were in different parts, in small groups, working and doing their work without anyone giving trouble. And as I say, these are not easy students. So really, really interesting to see. And you'll see the same thing with Warana Park, actually, because Warana Park is also in the same area as the Dandelion High School, also very multicultural. And the environment you see at Warana Park, because that is an environment that was designed by Mary Featherston. You'll hear her name. And she designed our furniture here, and I'll explain about that. They've also tried to, in terms of Warana Park, what they've done is they've taken a year level and they've actually opened up that whole year level. So your prep is 3 classes full, but in one classroom, and they just work in the different areas. We don't work like that here. Okay, I want to just tell you, each of our prep children, or each of our year 1 children, or year 2, whatever, has their own classroom. And Natalie, who used to work at Warana, she said it's wonderful. She likes the fact that she's got her group, the fact that they do mix and move between it, but that she actually has her core group and her classroom. Because if you're opening up like that, you need a very good team of teachers that can work together.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable. And I know that